Greetings, viewers around the world. Well, there's been a bit of a dust-up in the United States because during his recent trip to Washington, the new president-elect of the United States, Donald Trump, apparently ditched the press, and some of his comings and goings around Washington happened without the press being in tow. And then today there was a huge controversy because apparently he and some of his close associates of the transition team went to a restaurant in New York City, and the press didn't get to go along on that fun trip, and there was no indication that it was happening. They only saw the motorcade coming and going, and then some people at this restaurant took the pictures with their smartphones and uploaded it to the internet, and that's the only way the press knew that this trip had happened. And of course they're mad as hell because they thought they should be involved in the whole process. And this got me thinking about the issue of privacy, because I do have some very strong issues about privacy, and naturally I'm going to tell you about them right now. When it comes to privacy, I think that everybody, and I do mean everybody, is entitled to some. You, me, presidents, corporate heads, celebrities, kings, queens, everybody is entitled to a certain amount of privacy. And an example in recent times where the pursuit of privacy led to some really bad results was the 1997, I believe it was, death of Princess Diana in a traffic accident in Paris, because she and her boyfriend at the time, now she was divorced from Charles at this point, divorced from Prince Charles, so she and her boyfriend at that time, Dodi Fayed, were riding around Paris late one Saturday night, and they were being chased by paparazzi, people who were taking photographs to sell to the tabloids so that the tabloids could write great big sensational stories based on those photographs. And they were trying to protect their privacy. And investigation later, it turned out that the driver of their car was drunk, but the car crashed, and Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed and the driver all died as a result of that crash. And the paparazzi didn't even stop taking pictures. I mean, right at the accident scene, they were still taking pictures. And it was really disgusting. Do famous people, do important people have a right to privacy? Yeah, I think everybody does. Like I said, I think you, me, everybody has a right to privacy. It's something that I believed in for a very long time and will believe in for a long time to come. Now I will admit that I'm of the introverted persuasion. I'm an introvert. In spite of the fact that I'm on the internet raising hell about stuff all the time, looking directly into that camera and speaking to you, in spite of that, I am essentially a reserved person, and you won't see a lot of aggressiveness from me normally until you hack me off, and then it's the 4th of July. I'm kidding about that, sort of. But I do have strong views about privacy. You ever notice on my Facebook page how many things you actually don't see on my Facebook page, that you don't really get a lot of detail? My colleagues, Dan, Teresa, and Aaron, you never see them on there. As a matter of fact, they're not on my Facebook list because we see each other all the time and we communicate in different ways. Our workplace, I put some of the pictures of some of the planes on there before, but that's about as far as it's gone. I've never shared pictures from around the office building, either the exterior of our little complex or our office space inside, because the nature of things being what it is, I just can't really do that. And also, with regard to Aaron and Dan and Teresa, I have to protect their privacy as well. And the kind of things we're engaged in, it's very important that that privacy be protected. And then when it comes to my personal life, there's an awful lot you don't see there either. With regard to the profile, Facebook profile, you only see the things that I want to put there. You don't get anything close, anything even remotely close to the full story, because why would I want to put every detail about everything on there? There's just no point to doing it, and quite honestly, there may not be enough digital space to do it, because I've done a lot of different things in my lifetime. But you don't see a lot of pictures from around the house. As I said, the work that we do have to maintain a certain amount of privacy. And the place that I live, the property that I live on, well, actually own through a shell corporation. But this property is surrounded by a 12-foot concrete wall, first of all for security and secondly for privacy. It's about 40 acres, and out toward the back you have this section that is basically the backyard. And here in New Mexico it's creosote and yucca and barrel cactuses and hackberry trees and all that, and you have the backyard, and then you have this sort of no man's land that's like wild desert out behind that, because that's the way I like it actually. And around this little complex of mine you have a 12-foot high wall with the front entrance is a wrought iron gate that is locked most of the time, and on the front of that wrought iron gate that is usually locked most of the time there is a U-turn sign. Now, can people get in here if they need to get in here? Yeah, there are some trusted people who have keys and access, and they are able to get in case any kind of situation ever comes up or anything like that. It's a small group of people, though. It's not that many. But you don't see a lot of, well, as a matter of fact, recently you haven't seen any home pictures that I've posted, because in spite of the fact, I say, I'm always on here raising hell, I am a bit of a private person. I don't want everybody nosing into everything all the time. Do you? I mean, really, there was a time when I used to comment on media websites and make comments on articles and things like that, and people who comment on media websites are ignorant, stupid, uneducated, hateful, and nasty in general. I've learned that from personal experience. And what I found when I'd comment on these media websites and say something that really angered people, a lot of times, that the first thing they would do would go to my Facebook profile and start looking around for something negative to say, and then they would come back in a follow-up comment with some disparaging remark, some ugly remark, and that hacked me off so bad. There was a time or two when I got on a media website that I'd been commenting on or debating somebody with, and I said, that's only going to happen one time. You know, go looking at my profile, then come back and say something disparaging, that people are only going to do that one time, because they're going to be blocked forever. And so there's this great big huge list of people that I ended up blocking. But I finally decided that commenting on media websites just isn't worth it. Not going to change anybody's mind anyway, and there may be a few people that agree with what you say, but it's not going to be many. And so I strongly advise people not to comment on media websites, because there are a lot of hateful, mean, and nasty people out there. But I do a lot to maintain privacy, and I like that in the work environment as well. Now, at our air freight company, I don't mention the name very often anymore. It's a very collegial environment. We get along very well, and we are friends. And Dan and I, it's our operation basically, so strictly speaking we are the bosses, but we don't even like to talk like that, because it's such a close-knit collegial group that Aaron and Teresa, they're our friends, they're our colleagues, we socialize together all the time, and we don't even like to talk about it in terms of bosses and underlings or anything like that. We prefer to think of ourselves as a group of colleagues and friends, and we are. And I hope you find a work environment like that if you never have found one, because it's very rare and it's a very good thing. But I remember one job that I was working with, healthcare organization actually, and I had this little small office that I worked in, and I'm a private sort of individual, you know, in spite of the fact that I talk a lot on Facebook and post a lot of videos. I'm a private sort of individual. I need my space. I need the ability to work, to concentrate on what I'm doing. I had this little small office in a little health clinic, and I had a door that closed and locked, and I had this narrow window that I actually taped paper on, and I used to go in this office and close the door and lock it and concentrate on what I needed to do, and then let telephone calls go to voicemail and stuff like that, and they would get so mad at me about that, because this was a culture where you had people drifting in and out of offices all the time, with the doors open all the time, constant distractions and all that. And when I got together with this organization, they had this crazy stupid idea that I was going to be out bebopping around the community representing their organization all over the place, when actually all I wanted to do was do a certain role that I'd been assigned to do and just work in the office all day. I'm not a multitasker. I'm a task focuser, and consequently I need some privacy. So this idiot manager, just totally incompetent person, sent down this memo one time saying that she wants doors left ajar and she doesn't want windows taped up and all this stupid stuff. And it was just obviously aimed at me, because this idiot department manager made a career out of attacking me the whole time I worked with these people. We were going to go our separate ways one way or the other sooner or later. But I made them so mad just by being a private person and maintaining my little private environment. And for that, and not only that, but from other reasons too, we also eventually went our separate ways. So I think that privacy is very important. I was riding around with a coworker of mine in a suburb of Birmingham, Alabama one time, a suburb called Mountain Brook, and it was a very wealthy area. And we were riding through there one night for some reason or the other, and it had all these great big huge houses with the windows just wide open. You could see right into the houses with the light shining and everything. And my coworker says to me, "Why do these rich white people leave everything wide open so you can see right into their houses?" And I'm thinking, I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I'm the type that keeps the shades pulled down and all that. I like some privacy in my life, And when it comes to celebrities and presidents and kings and queens and whatever, they have a right to some privacy too. Who wants to put every aspect of their personal life on display all the time? Nobody, and I mean nobody, should have to do that. And sometimes there are very good reasons for not doing it. Because I'm on here saying controversial stuff all the time, I don't even mention the name of our company anymore, even though it used to be listed on the website. So I think in terms of heads of state, that the press doesn't have any business going out to every dinner, and they don't have any business anywhere near the personal living quarters. And as a matter of fact, maybe they ought to make them, instead of traveling with the president, maybe they ought to make them fly their own, buy their own tickets and fly commercial or something like that. We live in this age where for a lot of people, there's just tremendous invasion of privacy that just shouldn't exist. I'm sure if you're on my Facebook list, you don't put everything about your private personal life on here, and I don't expect you to. I mean, damn. I mean, we've all got our private personal lives, and everything that there is doesn't have to be on there. And I do tell you some things sometimes that are kind of personal, but it's my choice to do it. I'm not being forced to do it. And, I see no reason that very important people shouldn't be allowed privacy. They shouldn't have press in their living quarters. They shouldn't be following them around to restaurants. They ought to be able to take some trips without media being everywhere. I just see privacy as a basic human right that applies to everybody on the face of the earth. Now, you can't hardly get it in prison, so that's a very good reason to stay out of prison. But to me, and I think to a lot of other people, privacy is very important. So if heads of state want to ditch media and not have them around all the time, if celebrities want to do the same thing, that's perfectly fine with me. I think it's a good idea, because I, for one, am going to maintain my privacy too, because it is very important. Now, if I'm talking to somebody and you ever become a close friend of mine, then you'll know all kind of things. You'll know more probably than you ever wanted to know. You'll see more than you ever wanted to see, probably. But most people don't fit into that category. So, except for things that I choose to share, I think we all ought to have a choice as to what we share and what we don't about our lives. Even famous, important people should have choices about that. So, I'd like to see a little more privacy in this world. How do you feel about that? You agree with that? Well, that's my opinion on the issue of privacy. Not just for regular people, not just for secretive people like me, but for everybody. I just see privacy as a basic human right. A certain degree of it anyway. Thanks, and have a good day.